There we go. How are you? What are you doing? It is Wednesday. Ken's brought a chicken home. It's Survivor night. You know, he loves Survivor. So we do a chicken and Survivor. I mean, you know, it's just one of these little routines. So he's out walking the dog. And I'll talk to you for a minute. How are you? What are you doing? How's the family, etc.? Okay. See, I fed her earlier, but then she didn't. She ran away. And now she's decided now just to park up and smack her little lips together. Okay. All right. She's okay. That's just Sunny Bun. She's all right. She's polite. Okay. Alrighty. So today I was going to talk about like kind of that fear of being cringe, and how you can think of it as, would you rather be cringe and occasionally like create something really exciting, or just be like one of these cardboard people, you know, like the cardboard cutouts. Like some of you right now, as I speak, know that you have a cardboard cutout of yourself in your house. Do you want to be a cardboard cutout person? Or do you want to be someone that might accidentally humiliate yourself a million times, but then also like manage to have joy and fun while you're creating things, and, you know, more of a sense of liberation? Just not worry so much about if people are like, oh, you know. And then I was thinking about whenever you have people that are like attempting to humble you, maybe they're just attempting to hurt your reputation or just maybe mock you or whatever, in whatever way they want to humble you. You know how people are, you know, especially the gross ones, you know. You have to remember that even though it's painful for a minute, it's funny forever. I'm sorry. It's funny forever. Like, you have to remember that some of your greatest comedic material can come from like people being mean to you, right? You can just turn it into, you just twist it up into gold, right, Jerry? Okay. I mean, that's what I think. I think like humiliation row 1 minute, chuckle hut the next. So in some ways, you know, it's no fun to be raked over the coals. It's no fun to be poked fun of. It's no fun to be looked down on. It's no fun for people to be like, oh, or whatever. You don't want judgment from society in any way, like in whatever collective you're in. You don't really want it. Nobody wants that. That's why there's so much pressure and reality to all this conformity. I even hate the word. I hate that word. Now, being a nonconformist doesn't mean that I'm a lawless person. Like, I believe in law and order. But I also believe in being yourself and not just going with the crowd and junk like that. So, I don't want you to fret if you feel like people have poked fun at you, ridiculed you. You know, this is what the devil does. He works through people where they're broken, where they have darkness. You know, it's like our souls get a little broken up, our hearts get broken up, and then the darkness is in those cracks. Like for those people that go spelunking or whatever, when they're going in these, I mean, they go into these caves and these tunnels and these really tight spaces. This is where in your, I don't even know what to call it, in your soul, in your spirit body, where you have these wounds, then it's these cavernous places that, well, hopefully not cavernous. Sometimes they're just little cracks. I mean, we've all had cavernous wounds at some point. But this is where these entities can attach. I think Margot was describing it. Somebody else had described it, that she was describing it as like attaching on in terms of being sticky. And that's another way to see it. Like if it's sticky or gooey or whatever. You know, the evil needs something to hold on to. And once you've worked through your things and you've healed your wounds, your puzzle piece is a different shape and you don't have all these either cracks. It depends on which metaphor we're going to use. Just pick one. Okay. I mean, I've just been thinking of it as light and darkness. So, like, if down in your heart you have a crack there, like if there's like a place that's unhealed, where there's a grievance, there's a dark part in there. I've thought of it as that tar. But, I mean, I guess you could think of it anyway. Any way you want is fine. But the point is that the darkness and the things that go with it can get up inside of us like that. So, it might take a second to heal from some of the mean stuff the world throws at you, because the world is gross. We understand that, like, people on the whole, as in like the whole wide world, on the whole, you'd have to say it's low vibe. I mean, isn't it? Now, there are pockets. I'm not saying it's all like that. I mean, Okay, well. Anyway, when the low vibe comes at you, and you have to process it, and you have to heal, and, we forgive. It lightens the load. It heals your heart. And then you have a lot of material for the chuckle hut that doesn't even make you emotional anymore. You just don't really, just doesn't register anymore. Now, I'm not saying that every single major trauma can be used, as comedic fodder. But for the most part, when the devil dogs come at you in the world, and when they come against you, and they try to be like slandering you, I mean, that's what the devil does. He slanders. But there is going to be a time when the slanderers are removed from our presence. We're not even going to have to deal with them at all anymore. Thank you, Lord. That is really a day to look forward to, I mean, most of the time the slanderers are just in your head. They're just like in your mind, and they're like, You just bat them down like a gnat. Or don't even put that much energy into it. Like, resisting is fine. You don't even have to lift your arm for that. But just remember, if you're going through a hard time, if you feel like people pick on you, you can always turn it around. God will make good use of it in your life. He turns everything around for those who love Him and are called according to His purpose. We're the outcalled ones. We're the active duty. Active duty baby sweets. I don't think we're going to put that on a military uniform or anything. But you can see I'm more feminine today. Kind of have a lot of white going on. And here we go. I got these from Old Navy, by the way. I think they were $23. And I was going to get one size smaller because they're a little bit big for me, but, Anyway, who cares? So, if you're being mocked, if you're being ridiculed, if you're being used and abused, just remember that at some point God turns that around and makes good use of it in your life. He helps you to turn everything around. He does it. Like, you don't have to be stressing in the flesh to try to solve all your problems in these ways. You just give it to Him. There's like a supernatural quality to this healing. Kind of like if you had a cut and you put a balm on it, and it helps you heal faster. So let God enter into it. And then make fun of yourself. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to make fun of yourself about the things you've been through. And especially the further you get out from it, the easier it is to talk about it, because you go, oh yeah. Well, because you see it with new eyes. That's what you need to do, is always be looking and seeing things with new eyes. So not that you can rewrite history, but you can reframe it as a current version of yourself. I mean, I don't think personality-wise people change that much. I think, the roles we play generally stay the same until we deliberately break out of them. That's like the grooves we're in. It's like the path you normally take, unless you make a concerted effort to be like, why don't I just take this other way that doesn't have a clear cut? I don't know why I like to do that, but sometimes let's just not be on the path. Let's just go through this weird way that we don't have any idea exactly where we're going, but it's exciting. It's an adventure. We wander around, But sometimes you have to deliberately make a choice to just get off the path that your mind is always going to. And I'm talking literal path sometimes, but Also, just that figurative path in your mind, the choice that you always make, the thing that you were always trained to do, the thinking. This is related to another thing I wanted to talk about. The way to ease pressure in your life, if you're under pressure, is to change the way you think about it. Change the way you think about that situation and your role in it. In fact, maybe change the way you think about everything. I mean, depending on how worldly you are. Because the world's thought pattern programming has been that of fear. And just lower-based things, like lower-based fear and lust and, rage or anger. Just all the low vibes. The entire world, with its worldview overall, even though, like, people think they disagree on things, like with their different political parties and stuff, but really, just in general as human beings, being on the world and needing to have an environment here to live on, I feel like people have more in common than the low vibe ones want us to think. This is what I'm saying. The programming is so low that it's only intended to create a lot of fighting and fear and, stress purchasing of things and illness and things like that. God forbid all that. But that's where that lower world is. That's where the enemy's world is. Because that's how he has structured it with its value system. It's kind of like God's kingdom, only just flipped. With its head in the mud there. Get your head out of the mud, baby. Oh, man. So if you feel under pressure, start to think about what you're believing. Because, like, today I had a conversation with the kids, and one of the things that I was thinking about is how many times it came back to how society makes you feel ashamed if you don't conform in certain ways, and how different communities or whatever, or families or work groups or whatever, just society can just make you feel less than, can make you feel bad, even though you're not even trying to live to their standard of things. You don't even see the world the same way. So it doesn't make sense to take on that shame. Like if someone else is used to running 5 miles a day and everyone in their family has always done that, and then you show up and you're hanging around and you're going to read your book while they run 5 miles, they're like, you should feel ashamed of yourself. I never said I wanted to. I never said I wanted to do that. That's a weird example, I know, but I think this whole, conformity is related to that, and people losing themselves for fear of having other people ridicule them. Cardboard cutout people. Those are the critics, usually. Aren't they? If they're not just bots. Just AI people, just AI robots picking on you. Stalking you, catfishing you. Lord only knows who's catfishing you, God help us with all that. That's so gross. Okay. What else here? All right, so if you're under pressure, think about what you're thinking about. Think about how you're seeing your problem. Just start asking yourself questions like, how important is this really? There just has to be sort of a crack on the creme brulee of people's awareness of snapping out of this programming. It's like we've been programmed here to be on a hamster wheel and to be afraid all the time and to be worried. Afraid and worried aren't the same. You could worry about anything, it's just sort of the whole place is programmed like that. You turn on the news and then, oh no, you got even more things to worry about. My philosophy for that is just to say, Jesus, thank you for taking my worries. I don't like worrying about anything. As soon as I catch myself worrying, I just hand it over. Sometimes you don't catch it right away. I mean, you can sit and sort of mull something over for a little too long and be like, get yourself in a full-on funk. Instead of saying, Jesus, I'm not really sure what to do about this, and I feel like if I mull on it anymore, I'm just wasting my time. Worry is not going to get the day back. It's not going to help me create anything. Worry just eats things. It's like the locusts. Gross. I rebuke all that worry. Thank you, Jesus. Okay. All right, what else do we have here? I also heard someone talking about how, I think this was on Marcus's show, about how, there was like a TikTok thing, I think, about how people are seated in heaven, around the throne. The God Squad. He knows that I mean that in all affection. Okay. So the God Squad's up there in a circle. And then also, we are seated in heavenly places with Christ as believers. That's important to remember. We're seated in heavenly places. That means that you have your own seat. A seat is like a throne. A seat is like a designated spot that God has made for you. And the closer you are with Jesus Christ in terms of your intimacy with Him, your time with Him, the real way you interact with Him in your world, in your life, in your prayer closet, in your everyday world, then she was saying the closer your seat is to Christ and to the center, which I think is a really sweet, beautiful idea. We're seated in heavenly places. And right now, we're just sort of like looking forward to being seated in those places with our physical bodies as well. Like right now, it's in a heavenly realm only. But Eden is like where the 5D and the 3D overlap. Oh. We decided to go with the devil, unfortunately. I mean, decided is like a stretch. Eve was duped. Eve got deceived. Deceived Eve. And my version of it is that Adam just didn't want to be without her and just said, all right, we'll just hand it over. And then they were like, what in the world have we done to ourselves? What just happened? Can you imagine that moment? It's like, really? Where they look down and they suddenly are naked. I mean, imagine if I don't know exactly what happened, but their eyes were open. And they're like, whoa. Well, I guess if your eyes are open to evil, then your body might look different to you. I don't know. I'm not really sure about all the details of that, but I can just imagine the surprise on their faces when they ate the fruit and then kadonk, like something happened right away. They like fell into a skerdonk sort of state, a much less joyful state, it seems like. A much less just go with the flow, joyful, heavenly state. Down into now I got to think about every little thing I do. Now I got to figure out for myself what's right and wrong. Now I've got to figure out how to connect with God because He used to walk with us. And we were suited to be in His presence. This is me as Eve. Right? So we were suited to be in His presence. We were walking with Him in the garden. He was there just charging us with His love in person. Now Eve got that information secondhand through Adam. So maybe she wasn't as confident in it. Maybe she was easier to trick as a result. But she was tricked. She was duped, But somewhere Paul says that Adam actually wasn't deceived, that he deliberately rebelled. Oh, see, I wonder what would have happened if he just said, Eve, you shouldn't have done that. Now we're going to have to talk to our Father about this. Like, that's not what he did, though. he just decided, okay, well, if you ate it, I guess I'll eat it too. I don't really want to be here without you. If you're going to die, surely die. That's what the Bible says, die, you shall surely die. And then the devil was like, see, you didn't die. But then they did eventually. It wasn't right away. But they did change right away. They immediately were filled with shame. And just like, whoa, and trying to cover themselves with leaves. I think there was some details of that that'll be really interesting to learn about later. It's very interesting, but we fell down into this dense place in darkness. Our bodies changed, our vision changed, we changed. And when we went with Satan, we made him our little g God. And this world became his world. And then, Jesus showed up, which changed everything. He paid for the world back with his own blood. So now it's just a matter of appropriating, the winning. And the devil knows that, and he's really in bad shape. Here I have this picture I wanted to show you here. This one's called excuse me. This one's called Honey, the Frogs Are Getting Weird. I don't think that thing could even hop. Yeah, I don't think so either. I think it's really I'm not sure what it is. It seems to be sort of a combination of things. Okay. I was going to show this one, though. So I was hoping I could get a good picture of it because I like that one for some reason. Maybe if I can get a good picture of it, then I can. There you go. How are you? Okay. Do you have some hobbies? Do you have some things you like to do? To me, that's my... It's therapeutic, and it's also my form of, self-love. When I'm painting, it's me just being loving to myself, doing the thing that I love to do. I love to make art. It changes form. I don't know how long I'll be painting. Maybe it'll be another week. Maybe it'll be a decade. Who knows? But that's the beauty of just being a generally creative person. And not a particularly talented one, but a generally creative one. Then you can just, enjoy all different types of stuff like that. He's whistling. He's home. Let me see what else I have in here real quick before I let you go. A lot of tables turning right now. A lot of tables are turning. I think, truth is bubbling up in all areas of society and in our families and in our homes. And the tables are just turning now. I think people are getting tired of the baloney. They're ready to have the truth. They're ready to tell the truth. They're just tired. People are tired of living with the weight of just all the falsehood and just people's baloney. People are sick of it. As Fodder said yesterday. What was I saying that about yesterday? Oh, just phoniness. Yeah, okay. Phony baloney. That's what we're sick of. Okay. What else do we have? All right. Fodder for Chuckle Hut. Did that. Under Pressure. Got that. All right. I don't have too many notes today, I guess. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that one. Lady described Jesus as the chairman of heaven. The chairman. He's the king of love. One thing I was thinking about, and I know I've mentioned this before, but I think sometimes people can interpret, especially if you have to put boundaries up, people can interpret certain behaviors on the outside as being very cold. But I was thinking about, in my case, it usually is just like, are you guys familiar with this ice cream topping that you put on the ice cream and then it gets real hard on the outside? And then you take a little and you crack it. Kind of like the creme brulee. It's a little bit of a theme, I guess. That's kind of like what happens to me, where I have a little shell that comes up over me. And it's not It's still part of me. It's not a fake thing, but it's just protective. It's a little protective shell of chocolate. What is it called? Magic chocolate or something like that? I don't know. I can't remember. It's probably horrible for you. Don't try it. Okay. I'm off topic now. All right, but my point is that sometimes it might appear as if you're cold on the outside, or like that you flip flop from one to another, but really it's just to protect. It's just a defense. Like, I remember I was thinking about this in terms of I think it was in 9th grade, and I went to this dance with this boy named Todd, and we and I just really liked him a lot. I was like totally terrified around him. Anyway, and I didn't know him that well. Anyway, so we're getting our picture taken at this dance, and this girl that hated me was like in the line, and she was yelling at me while I'm having my picture taken. She was like, "I didn't know they had photographers on 5th Street, you slut," you know. And I'm just sitting there like, I mean, I just pretended I didn't hear her, and the picture came out fine. I mean, it wasn't great. I didn't look thrilled, but I didn't look like someone was just verbally abusing me. Anyway, so I learned to do that as a kid. I guess I was 15 or 16 at the time. 14, maybe. I was pretty young. I was about 14. And he was a senior when I was a freshman. And he ended up hooking up with one of my friends later that night, though. So, I mean, it turned out not great. Oh, God bless him. Anyway, my point is that sometimes on the surface, you don't know what's going on with a person. You know, it might come across as cold. They might come across as cold, but maybe they're trying to protect their big, warm, fuzzy heart in there. You know, I've got a very soft heart. It doesn't take much to make me cry, really. And that's weird because I seem to be very tough and stuff, but that's just a way that I've had to learn how to protect myself. You know, it's not really who I really am in my heart. Who I really am is just a little softer. I'd rather be like this, just playful and fun, and not having to manage stuff, you know, or like stand up for myself, or like, you know, just try to be myself, or have to fight for a voice, to have a voice or an opinion, or, you know, or whatever it is. Whoa. What are you doing? I'll get you some more. I saw she ate most of that. It's okay. Animals. God's really blessed me with some sweet animals here. I mean, my dogs are getting old, which is always a scary thing. It's, you know, I don't want to think about it. Speaking of crying, what am I doing to myself? Okay. All right. All right. Shh. What else do we have? The devil cannot affect your proximity to Jesus. That's determined by our intimacy. The devil really can't. He has to get permission to, you know, do things to us, especially the active duty. The active duty baby sweets. We have special protections right now. And these devils know it. They're off probably focused on like the lukewarmers right now. They're not focused on people who've just dedicated their lives now to ministry or whatever. Not everybody listening has done that. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying. Many of us have just real extreme protection because we have kind of an extreme calling. And we are kind of like rebellious people against these goofy, you know, society programs. Which is, there's just some of us have just been, you know, just refusing to continue to stay small and, I guess, manageable. Gosh. You know, the weird part is, I think this is why for most of my life I've been fine with it, because I'm kind of a shy person. I'm not really out here going, hey everybody. I mean, it sort of works against me in this algorithm thing. I'm not trying to be seen, and I have part of me that's like, I'm still hiding. As I'm making the video, I'm hiding from you. But it is fun. It's fun because I really don't care as much as other people do about what people think and say. And that's only out of practice. That's from sheer practice. I mean, I got to start in grade school, when people are abusing you in public places, when they're trying to humiliate you and trying to bring you down a peg or whatever they want to say. There's an excuse to abuse you. If you start early, then by the time you're my age, you've come to learn that you really don't care what the people think, because if this is the kind of way they behave, then you really don't care. Because these are not your people. They're not going to get you. And maybe, some positive parts can rub off. They can watch people in our collective and they can be inspired, But I don't ever really count on people changing. Even though I know people can change. I'm not saying they can't, because Jesus changes them. I don't think people can change themselves, really. I mean, you can do some things, I guess. But in terms of your old nature to a new nature, a new heart, that's His work in us. That's not our work. We wouldn't, where would you even start? I'm going to have to put myself a new heart. I mean, it's not literal, so, right? I said the devil cannot affect proximity, determined by intimacy. And how are you intimate with Jesus? Just talk to Him. Read His Word. Learn about Him. Let's see. And that looks like about it. Just have another note to myself to be kind to the wicked. Love your enemies. I guess to me, it's pretty easy just to love a regular person. It's a lot harder to be loving and patient and sweet and have a sweet spirit even toward people who have willfully wronged you, And I mean in 3D. I don't mean in the 5D where you might have different ideas of different things. But I mean like people that they've done it to your face. Like that these people have hurt you, Lord, thank you for helping me be patient and be forgiving and for, for the collective to remember that even if people pass around stuff to try to embarrass us or whatever, we do have a lot of support around us. A lot more than you know. Like God is with you. His angels are with you. Your heavenly host, Lord. Heavenly host around us, helping us. The whole beautiful God squad is here. And it might not be as rambunctious and loud as the devil's squad. I mean, obviously, it's a circus. It's going to be loud. They have horns. They turn their noses into horns. I mean, this is a loud bunch. They're making noise like there's no tomorrow. But the Lord's angels are quiet. And they're always saying, don't be afraid. They're not sidling up and trying to scare you. They're saying, don't be afraid. And we're not to be worshiping angels. We only worship the Lord. But anyway, we have a huge amount of help to us right now. And that's fun. That's good. And we just have to keep lighthearted, especially about ourselves. Like, lighten up about yourself. It's not about you anyway. This is one of the things I was thinking about with Bobby's recent letter. It was a boxer to another boxer. But just the idea that sometimes things that you're involved with become bigger than you. And you can almost get carried away by them. So I guess it's good to keep your bearings. I'm probably going to write that one back, I think Rocky's going to write a note. I've got to get into a mind frame of Rocky now. Bobby, if you hate that, or if somebody hears this that knows that you hate it, let me know. Okay. I'm just being playful. Anyway, that was an interesting one. I'd like to read it again. It had a lot in there. These are letters that Bobby's writing and then running it through a program to put it in the style, I guess. That's what it seems like. But it's interesting because I mean, there's just a lot to say. Like how the public loves to see you rise and then can't wait to see you fall. You know, they're always watching out for you to fall, take a fall. Like this world is gross. People are gross here. Like as a bunch, as a pig piling, disgusting little piggy bunch, it's a difficult place. This is why I'm not racing out here to go, surfing out in the world just in John Q. Even though, I'm quietly doing the job in the corner, and then it'll be used at some point. And I'm not, in some ways I'm trying not to get any attention. In some ways I'm trying not to get attention. I don't know why. That's a ridiculous thing. Okay, well, I just leave it up to the Lord. I'm not out here trying to sell myself. I'm not in showbiz. We've discussed this. Okay. Why don't we get to our reading and then I'll go. It's very loud out there and I want to find out what in the world's going on. I think we've got a chicken. That's what I think. Okay. It may or may not have been bathed in, what was it, fluoride or chlorine or something? I don't know. They've dunked it in somebody's backyard pool, maybe. I don't know what's happened to the food. As soon as I start thinking about it, I get real mad, but then I have to, put it out of my head again because there's too much food with toxins in it. And I just think, well, I don't even know what to eat now. Only bananas and apples. I've had a lot of... Anyway, so I have to put that on my head. It's too much cognitive dissonance for one person to handle, to be like, it's poisonous. And then I'm like, all right, give me one of those. It's like there's part of me that's like, look, you've been doing this your whole life. What is it going to just suddenly hurt you? I mean, So I don't want to panic about it, but I am replacing foods one at a time. And I'd really like to just clean out the cupboard in there, I have people in my world that are kind of savers. They like to save things. They like to save very, very large, containers of other containers and bags. There's a whole section of this closet in there that's just nothing but bags. Okay. I mean, all right, guys. Perfect security. All right, 2 Corinthians says, so we don't look at the troubles we can see now. Rather, we fix our gaze on things that cannot be seen. For the things we see now will soon be gone, but the things we cannot see will last forever. It's kind of the idea that everything starts in an unseen place and then makes its way to the seen. That's the 5D to the 3D. Everything starts in the 5D. In places that are invisible, but still have some sort of a psychic weight. I think it has to do with physics of some kind. Okay. It says, sometimes you make checklists for yourself to help you feel in control of your life. If I get an A, my parents will be... So this is a children's one. Okay. If I get an A, my parents will be proud of me. If I get the right clothes, then so-and-so will be my friend. If I can only... ... The problem is that there is never an end to these lists. If you check off one thing, 2 or 3 more pop up to take the place. The harder you try to make everything just right, the more frustrated you become. You won't find real peace and security in the things of this world, because this world is imperfect and things don't last forever. Only I am perfect. Only I am forever. As in Jesus, not me. Okay. So bring your checklist to me. I will help you sort out what's important and what's not. Stay close to me, and I'll give you my perfect peace. Yeah. That's that hamster wheel of leaning your, trying to get peace out of these worldly things that just keep coming and keep coming and keep coming. It's the whack-a-mole problems. Well, then you figure this one out, but then how about that? And then this other problem, and it just goes on and on and on. I had a vision of this memory from our old house where I remember before my stepmom would visit, I'd clean as best as I could because she was such a clean freak. Her house was immaculate and she always did her own cleaning, So I got a little stressed about it. I was like, I'm a little bit gross and messy, Anyway, so I remember one day I was really stressed, like cleaning the bathroom, and just really, I wanted it to look nice. And I just remembered I wasn't doing it in a spirit of joy. And even back then, like I was learning to do things not begrudgingly and not frantically or like with that sort of perfectionist feeling. Like it has to be a certain way or whatever. Like that's a stressy feeling. But I remember feeling like that one day. And then I was like, oh, it's perfect. It's great. And then I leave the bathroom. And then I come back in a second later. And one of my hairs, like a really long hair, is just right across the sink in this weird little way. It was like displayed there. I'd only been gone like, I don't know, 10 seconds. I came back. This hair was splayed there. And I was like, oh, okay. I just felt like it was like a little nudge from the Holy Spirit going, it's not going to be perfect. And it doesn't need to be. That was the message I got in the moment. Like, I'm not going to make this perfect. Like, how could I have controlled this? And what if she had walked in right then? I mean, how embarrassing would that have been? Oh, well, there's just a giant hair sitting there. But that's the kind of thinking that I've had to try to get rid of. Being embarrassed about stuff. And like being like, letting it make me small and like worried and scared and nervous about things. Like the bathroom has to be perfectly. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. If someone has a different standard than you in terms of their cleanliness, if their place is always spotless, it's just a different standard. You don't have to take that personally. We can always improve on our housekeeping, but some people find that much more important than other people. Let them find that more important. It's fine. Like, if that's more important to them, that's fine. Some people have that personality disorder. Not where they're OCD, but they're OCPD. Where they'll do a lot of very intense cleaning and things like that, and checking and other things that seem similar to OCD, but they just believe that they're right about it, that it's really what everybody should do. It becomes this thing where they sort of look down on people. At least that's what I remember it is. I haven't studied it in a while. But you get the feeling that some people, with OCPD would be looking down on you, versus somebody with OCD tends to know it's irrational. And they know that, they don't want to be doing the behaviors. With OCPD, they do want to be doing the behaviors. Not only do they want to be doing them, they want you to be doing them. And some of them are mad that you're not. Okay. We don't hear much about that. We hear about the narcissist. We hear about the psychopath. We hear about the borderline some. But you don't hear much about the OCPD. It's the neat freak who's not OCD. They think they're right. That's how that is. The personality disordered people always think that they're right and you're wrong. And then people with disorders like depression, like the kind of stuff I've suffered from, anxiety, depression, they believe that like you're right and they're wrong. Like somebody with depression thinks that other people know things they don't. They think that you're right and they're wrong. Versus the personality disorders thinks they're right and you're wrong. And then the people with more of a psychotic disorder like schizophrenia, which I've never had, by the way. I've never been diagnosed with that, nor have I ever had a schizophrenic episode. Okay. Anyway. Those folks, people with what they used to call thought disorders, those folks will say, like, I'm not okay. I'm not right, but you're not right either. Like, neither one of us are doing okay. And that's probably more accurate for where our world is, even though, like, this is people with a thought disorder, to understand that, like, the world is in such a fallen place that I'm not okay, but you're not okay either. I'm not right, you're not right either. Where somebody with depression just thinks, well, I'm not okay, but you're okay. You're right, you're cool. It's like a weird way of understanding. Kind of like a heuristic, I guess you'd say, like a shortcut to understanding, kind of a basic, what would you say? Like a mindset from those positions, So when we're dealing with personality disordered people, like they're usually, you know, I saw Dr. Ramani talk about whether they can be helped or not, and they're usually pretty resistant to change. I think there's some groups, like especially with borderline personality, people in that group do tend to change, and they can really improve their lives, and they can have healthy relationships. I think the other ones are pretty resistant to that. I mean, it would have to be a very, very specific circumstance. And I've come to think there's probably demonic things going on there too. But God help us all. I don't know why we end up with these topics. Who knows? Who knows? Okay. All right. It's time to go. It's loud out there, and it's distracting me. So, Heavenly Father, thank you for being with us. And thank you for teaching us about stuff and teaching us about ourselves. And thank you for helping us learn coping mechanisms that maybe they worked when we were younger, maybe they don't work so well anymore, but thank you for helping us see kind of the things that we've maybe been in a pattern of doing and the ways that we cope and maybe the ways that it could be misconstrued. Thank you for helping us see one another accurately and for just helping us love one another. Regardless of how we construe one another, it doesn't really matter. We're still here to love one another. And thank you for delivering us from evil, Father. Thank you for expanding our territory, blessing us indeed, and keeping your hand on us. Okay, guys.